City councilors in Sanford are looking at removing the fire marshal position from the fire department. The city's mayor says it's a way to save money during a tight budget, but firefighters say the move blindsided them. There's a city meeting tonight to approve this new budget. News Center Maine's Jack Mulman is live there with the latest. Jack.
Zach, well, the Sanford city officials tell me that they could save up to $300,000 by the removal of that fire marshal from this year's budget, on top of not filling 2 open positions. But the fire department tells me that they're begging the city just to find another way.
It's got leaks, it's falling in, there's cracks in the concrete, it just hasn't been kept up like it needs to.
Rick Smith is filling in for the Sanford fire chief position and says they need more staff.
It's a countrywide issue, so it's probably gotten worse year after year.
That's why back in 2015, the city promised to fill 2 firefighter positions every year in Sanford until the department got back up to adequate staffing.
If economic times were hard, they could choose not to that year, but the next year when times were good, they would have to go back to funding that.
But Interim Chief Smith says the city's budget is not in dire enough shape to skip the hiring this year, let alone eliminate a position altogether, one they've had for 40 years.
I was completely blindsided. No one had talked to me ahead of time about it. There was no discussion with me as the fire chief about eliminating the fire marshal's position.
We have been talking about it for over a year.
That is the mayor of Sanford, Becky Brink. She says if they remove the fire marshal position, it saves the city $120,000. And they could rely on the state's fire marshal service to conduct code enforcement on local buildings.
That is what they're under the belief, but they are ill-informed. There's a lot of things that the fire marshal does here in the city that can be done better and faster by our fire marshal than it can by the state of Maine.
Smith says the state fire marshal's office is slower than a local fire marshal's office, and they're also dealing with staffing issues.
I feel the state can provide the same resources. I would love to add 2 more firefighter paramedics. I'm hoping by cutting some other things, maybe we can find the money to do that. But if we can't, then the funds aren't there.
If the fire marshal is removed from the finished Sanford budget, Interim Chief Smith says it's more work for first responders.
And it's going to slow everything down. I don't know the code like the fire marshal does, and neither does the other assistant chief. We've proven statistically over time that having stronger numbers equals better results.
So if the city says there's not enough money in the budget, but the fire department does think so, then where does that confusion come from? Well, I listened to the city council meeting from last week where one of the city councilors told the city manager that he should have done a better job with communicating with that interim fire chief who you just heard from. But I did have a chance to catch up with the city manager, and he says there are some ways to reshuffle the budget to accommodate those fire positions. But again, it's up to the city council to decide, and they're voting on that tonight. Zach?
Jack Mulman live in Sanford tonight. Thanks so much.